Gata for the sound of the bell. Mind calm, body at ease, breathing quiet, sentiment benevolent. Dharma friends sitting still in vital silence. Wanting nothing, we practice eco-Buddhism together. The sound of the temple bell booms for all to cease from conflict. May the way of Buddha usher in the dawn of non-violent global village forever. Here is the after sound of the bell. Thunder of silence, light after Dharma rain. Amoga. Varochana Mahamudra. Mani Padme Jvala Pravartaya.
Please stand for the chanting of the three refuges, first in Sino-Korean and then by recitation in English. Chi Sin Quim Yang Ne Shi Bang Sam Se Che Bang
Sibam Samse Chemam Chale Samju Ilche Sangaya Ajum Chisim Wimyam Ne Shivang Sanse Chemang Chale Sanju Ilche Sangaya Ajum.
I go for refuge to the Buddha
I go for refuge to the Buddha
and resolve with all beings.
and resolve with all beings.
I will cultivate a heart of enlightenment
I will cultivate a heart of enlightenment
and realize the great way.
and realize the great way.
I go for refuge to the Dharma
I go for refuge to the Dharma
and resolve with all beings.
and resolve with all beings.
I will penetrate the teachings
I will penetrate the teachings
and uncover oceans of wisdom.
and uncover oceans of wisdom.
I go for refuge to the Sangha
I go for refuge to the Sangha
and resolve with all beings.
and resolve with all beings.
I will seek peace and happiness for the many
I will seek peace and happiness for the many
and transform this world into Buddha lands unimpeded.
and transform this world into Buddha lands unimpeded.
Please return to your places for another period of meditation, just about 5 minutes before we hear Dharma talks from 2 of our members. It's a shorter period of meditation, and what you've done already this morning will help you now settle down, remembering the fine points of your posture. Hips a little forward, raising up the breastbone very, very slightly, lowering the shoulders and bringing the shoulder blades together very slightly, bringing your inner eye to your breathing all through this body. And bringing your practice also. Let's do a little stretching. Mindful. Get ourselves embodied, a really important practice these days. Really get into each of these poses, stretching the spine, especially paying attention to the spine and the eyes, taking the eyes up to the ceiling. Again, remembering stretching your spine, eyes again, focused. Leaves spinning downwards. Chickens and ducks huddled in the coop. And me, having donned this grey vest my sister sent me about 3 decades ago. She got it from a thrift shop in Victoria. Good morning, everyone. It's always good to have you with us, even though right now I can't tell who's there. And it's a special morning. I like to start with this vest. I was looking this morning at a picture of my granddaughter's birth, which was on November 1st, 2009. And I was there at the hospital, and her dad and her mom, and there she was, Eve, and I had a phone in my hand, and the caption on the picture was, Mom calling Gomani, that's my other daughter, to announce Eve's birth. And I smiled, and kind of a tear came to my eye. And when I looked at the picture closely, I saw that I had this very same vest on 11 years ago, at that time of birthing. And today, almost every day, but today in particular, is another kind of birthing where two of our members, Nojak and Teresa, are at the birthing time of them being Dharma guardians in our Sangha. I don't know what they're wearing at this very moment, but maybe if they get a picture taken by one of their kids, Gus or Lily, can look back in 11 years and see they're wearing the same things. These two are very special members of the Sangha. First, they turned up 15 years or so ago with their kids and have been participating wholeheartedly ever since in our peace camp, which has thrived as a result of their participation, in our Zen family program, which has also thrived. And it was a pleasure to have them in our Dharma Guardian program. They nourish our Sangha in many ways, and you'll hear about that as they give their talks. So I want to just review for them and for you about the Dharma Guardian program. The spirit is embodied in the 6 right livelihood guidelines. Consume mindfully. Pause, breathe, listen. Practice gratitude. Cultivate compassion and loving kindness. Discover wisdom and accept constant change. So this is the certificate which they have there at their home, and I think they're going to be presented with it at the end of their talks by one of their kids or maybe both of them. Continuing this Dharma Guardian program at the Zen Buddhist Temple is a program to nourish through practice members to bring peace and happiness to those in need and embody the Buddhist tradition of wisdom, compassion, and enlightenment. Dharma Guardians are eligible to assist with the temple administration and programs to represent this temple to the wider community and to pursue Buddhist chaplaincy or hospice work and more. These days, there are so many ways to be of service. So first, I'd like to invite Nojak, Bill Solomonson, to, on this occasion of his formally becoming Dharma Guardian for this Sangha, to give a little talk to us, a little Dharma talk to us. So, Nojak.
Thank you, Haju. Hello, everyone. Give me one moment while I get arranged here so that I'm on the screen correctly. Actually, this needs a little bit of adjusting. Tip this up. Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here and to be talking with you this morning. And thank you, Haju, for that beautiful, beautiful introduction. We're very grateful. So I'm going to speak for about 15 minutes, and then Teresa will speak for about 15 minutes, and then we'll hand it back to the temple. But my talk, I thought, would be about music and about music in the Dharma, and primarily because honestly, over the last many months with the challenges we've been facing, I have found music to be so very powerful. And it's also something that we've used at the temple for the same kind of purposes, to celebrate, to bring us together, to share the Dharma. So I think what I'm going to talk about is a little bit of history with music and Buddhism generally, but then I'm going to get specific about some of the songs that we actually use at the temple. So from a historical perspective, I did some exploration, and I wanted to know really what was going on with music at the time of the Buddha. And not surprisingly, it seems that music in and of itself wasn't a large part of the Buddha Sangha at the time. However, there was chanting, much like we have chanting now, which was a historical component of many religions, of course, not only for memorization, but as part of just practice itself. There are, though, a couple specific sutras that I was going to mention that are in and around music. The first one is called the Veena Sutta, or the Veena Sutra. And a veena, V-E-E-N-A, is a musical instrument. It's kind of like a guitar, but it's maybe a little bit more like a sitar. And there's a gourd at each end of it, and then there's a neck with strings on top of it. And this was a very common instrument in Indian classical music. So at the time of the Buddha, that was a very common instrument. So the Veena Sutra basically is about a king, a hypothetical king, who hears a veena for the first time and is mesmerized by the sound and wants to know, where does the sound come from? So he has the veena disassembled part by part by part to see exactly what's the source of the sound. You know, what is the soundness of the veena? And over and over again, it's disassembled into smaller and smaller components. And at each stage, there's no source, there's no sound that exists, until finally it's just little pieces of metal and little pieces of wood, which he tries to disassemble further by burning it, and then by throwing it up into the wind and into the stream. And ultimately, there's no source of this sound from these components. And the Buddha uses this as a metaphor for the way that we can explore our own selves through the five skandhas specifically, which is a whole other topic. But we can find that there's no inherent me-ness or self in the way that we perceive our existence and our interaction with the world. So the Buddha is not using music per se, but a musical instrument as an instructional tool to create an analogy through the teaching, which is pretty cool. There's one other one that I was going to mention too, which is called the Sona Sutta, or the Sona Sutra. And Sona was a monk who, Haju tells this story. Sona was a monk who was a very ardent practitioner and worked very, very hard on his practice. And at the time, his practice was walking meditation. So he would just walk all day, all night doing this practice. And he did this so much that he actually injured his feet to the point of them bleeding. And so Sona was in pain, struggling with his practice, not sure that he was on the right path. And the Buddha sat down with him and said, okay, Sona, before you were a monk, you were a musician, right? And Sona said, yeah. And the Buddha said, well, when you tuned your instrument too tightly, did it work right? And Sona said, no. And then the Buddha said, well, when it was too loose, did it work right? And Sona said, well, no. And the Buddha said, okay, if you tuned it just perfectly so the strings were all in perfect tune, then did it work right? And Sona said, yeah, it did. And so the Buddha said, well, this is like your practice. If you're too ardent in your practice, then you're going to be out of whack. If you're too loose in your practice, you're going to get too lazy. So you need to find that perfect tuning and then go from there. So that's in essence the Sona Sutra. So that's kind of the historical perspective, where the Buddha really used music or musical instruments more as a teaching tool. Nowadays in the temple, we use music for other purposes. As I mentioned earlier, for celebration. for bringing people together, for making things more poignant, and also for teaching the Dharma. So I wanted to jump into two specific songs that we use at the temple. And I think I'll do this by looking at the context of each one, which means basically, when do we use these songs? How do we use them at the temple? I'll give you some examples of them. So I'll actually play some snippets of them, or for one, I'll play the whole song. And then I'll talk about the Dharma that's being taught through that song. So the first one I wanted to do is a song called Breathing. A lot of us know this song. It's by Joe Riley, who's a Michigan-based singer-songwriter. We're lucky enough to have a good relationship with Joe, and we typically see him several times throughout the year for different events or at Peace Camp. So the first time I heard this song was probably the first Peace Camp that I had been to with the family, which was, I think, 2008 or so. But Joe typically comes on a specific night, either early to get it on the right foot, or later to kind of celebrate the closing of camp. But either way, he'll sing this song. This is one of his better known songs. So we have it done at events at the temple, like when we have the Zenefit or other special events. And our fabulous choir also performs this song. So I'm going to play the chorus to the song and also the refrain to give you kind of a feel for it. Breathing in, I'm alive right here. Breathing out, my mind is clear. Breathing in, my body is at ease. Breathing out, I am at peace. Breathing, again. Breathing in, I am alive right here. Breathing out, my mind is clear. Breathing in, my body is at ease. Breathing out, I am at peace. Breathing. This is the refrain. There are so many reasons to be happy. There are so many reasons to give thanks. There are so many reasons to be happy, to give praise, to give praise. So that's kind of a snippet of it, but it's a beautiful song. The power of it as well is in the Dharma that is taught through the words, the lyrics that Joe wrote. You know, you can tell just about the song, it's about breathing. So it's about breathing practice, which historically was taught by the Buddha in the Anapanasati Sutra, which is the mindfulness of breathing sutra. A quote from that is that mindfulness of in and out breathing, when developed and pursued, is of great fruit, of great merit. And then that sutra goes in to cover the successive stages of practice of breathing. So the song is really about being mindful. So it's about mindfulness. It's about being present in this very moment that we're in. And most importantly, really being aware of one's body. So one of the things that Haju taught me at a retreat many years ago was to get out of my head. I seem to be a bit of an intellectual meditator. So this presence and awareness of our body is a vital tool in our tool set. So, but the song is also about the outcomes of breathing practice, such as calmness, clarity of mind, and a sense of peacefulness. But it's also about the practice of gratitude, which was in that refrain. There's so many reasons to be happy. There's so many reasons to give thanks. As Haju mentioned in the Right Livelihood Guidelines, one of our guidelines is gratitude. This reminds me of a book that I read by Roshi Robert Aitken called The Practice of Perfection, which is about the paramitas. And one of the things that he had pointed out was that when monks first came to the Buddha and joined as disciples, the first thing he had them practice was generosity. And the generosity was for a couple of reasons. First, to help them kind of rid themselves of their attachment to some of their worldly possessions. But secondly, and maybe even more importantly, it was so that they would allow other people who were recipients of their generosity to be able to show gratitude, which again is in and of itself a wonderful practice, and one that is tied to our happiness. All right, so that's the first song I wanted to share. The second song is called No Coming, No Going. And this is one that's written by Sister Chan Duc, who is a nun of the Plum Village Sangha out of France with Thich Nhat Hanh. So the first time I heard this song, I'm not exactly sure, but we do sing this at Peace Camp, and we also sing it at events. I have grown to really like it, probably most of all because it's one of, I think, Haju's favorite songs. So she tends to recommend this one. So we'll sing 2 or 3 verses of it whenever we have an event. So I'm going to play a sample of it. I'm going to actually play the whole song twice because it's a pretty short song. No coming, no going, no after, no before. I hold you so close to me, I release you to be so free, because I am in you and you are in me, because I am in you and you are in me. One more time. No coming, no going, no after, no before. I hold you so close to me, I release you to be so free, because I am in you and you are in me, because I am in you and you are in me. So this one is very, very simple, but very, very poignant in the Dharma that it teaches. So it starts out with these negations of no coming, no going, these opposites, but we're negating these opposites. No after, no before, but we're negating them. And this idea of negating these opposites is a very fundamental non-duality teaching that we talk about often in the temple. You can find these things in sutras like the Heart Sutra and the Lotus Sutra. But that non-duality helps us to break away from our natural tendencies as people to quickly jump to categorize things, to separate things, to judge. And when we start to judge, we create affinity for those things that we approve of and aversion for those things that we don't approve of. And once we do that, we, as the Buddha teaches, we kind of become caught in that cycle of attachments to the things that we like and aversions to the things that we don't like. So that's what the song's really talking about in that first part of the lyrics. Now, it's also about love. So this idea of, I hold you so close to me, close to me. Now, notice the song doesn't say, I want to hold you so close to me, or I need you to be so close to me, because that's about a possessive kind of love, a greedy love. This is about a different kind of love, which is followed by the line, I release you to be so free. So it's not about that greedy love. It's about this idea of freedom, and about freedom created by this release of just, it's a pure love. And then lastly, it's about interconnection. Because you are in me because I'm in you and you are in me, which it repeats. This is about the interconnection of all beings, and that really is about Sangha. So just some final thoughts from me before I hand this off to Teresa. I think that perhaps one of the ways that we as Americans who are practicing Buddhism can contribute to the growth and the change and the organic nature of Buddhism itself is perhaps through music, and the way that these songs can help to tell stories, they can help to celebrate, they can help to share our experiences, and they can help to teach the Dharma like these songs are doing. So with that, I wish that you are all well. I wish that you're all at ease, and may you all be happy in these challenging times, and may you find some space in your heart for a song to help you get through it all. All right, I will move from the seat and hand it off to Teresa.
Good morning. I kind of rearrange for my much taller husband. I think we're about there. And thank you and good morning, and I'm so glad to be here today. I'm so grateful for my practice and my study at the temple. I have benefited so many ways with my experience through Dharma Guardian and through in an extension through Peace Camp and the family program that I work with. And so I want to share like kind of my hit list of benefits that I have personally experienced from this time with the temple. Increased emotional flexibility, better agility to navigate emotionally charged situations, better stress management. I've expanded my network of personal support. I've built friendships, spiritual, personal, professional, with people I really admire. I've gotten to know myself better. And I think probably most dear to my heart is I have an increased capacity to more skillfully support the people that I love. And at the heart of Buddhism is loving kindness and friendship. And it requires continuous opportunities to practice. And to that end, a seeker must be willing to take risks, to be vulnerable, and to allow themselves to become intimate with the Dharma. Intimacy encompasses the experience of mutual closeness with another person or another being. That's caring and sharing and loving and liking, risk-taking, vulnerability, self-disclosure, trust, and reciprocity. Intimacy is at the core of human experience. It's present in every loving relationship, and it may be the one thing that we desire most as social beings. Intimacy is a requirement of true love. So I like that Nojak was talking about love, especially at the end. I'd like to tell you a story of true love, and in it I'm going to incorporate two of my favorite and fundamental teaching guides. And when leveraged, these two simple guides, well, maybe not so simple, but when leveraged, they beef up your awareness of your own interactions. And that's the first step. The first is Buddha's Golden Chain of Love. And that one can be found, in this book right here. And it goes like this. I am a link in Lord Buddha's Golden Chain of Love. I must keep my link, I am a link in Lord Buddha's golden chain of love. I must keep my link bright and strong. I will try to be kind and gentle to every living thing and protect those who are weaker than myself. I will try to think pure and beautiful thoughts, say pure and beautiful words, and do pure and beautiful deeds, knowing on what I do now depends not only my own happiness, but the happiness of others. May every link in this golden chain become bright and strong, and may we all attain perfect peace. So this practice is best, the best way to work with this practice is to memorize it. So a little homework for you. The second is the Brahma Viharas. This practice is a practice of bending your minds towards benevolence, and there are 4 of them: loving kindness, sympathetic joy, compassion, and equanimity. And to simplify it, really it's a training to build up your capacity to love all beings. That's loving yourself, somebody that you love, somebody that you like, somebody you don't know, somebody you're not like so much, and people that you really don't like at all. And eventually everybody. So it's this sort of ripple effect. But the easiest way to start with this practice is to start with yourself. And so we're putting intentions out to people we love and to ourselves. And so I have an adaptation of this practice that I've shared before. I use it with parents. It's an opportunity for parents with children of school age to sort of kind of practice the Brahma Viharas. And then, you can use it as an adult child, putting that intention out for your parent. So I'm going to kind of rip through this, and I will post this to the chat if I can, for everybody to have access to it if you'd like to try it on your own, which I really encourage you to do. But so you say the recitation, ring a bell, or have a moment of silence between each of the 4 Brahma Viharas. So we'll start with sympathetic joy. May my practice help me to present opportunities for you to grow in mind, body, and spirit. Knowing that with love and practice, you may arrive completely at each microcycle of birth and death, and ultimately arise to your full potential. May you know joy. May the causes for your joy be known by you. May joy be a wellspring for your happiness. May your happiness be a wellspring of joy for others. And then you would ring the bell. So the next one is compassion. And I do this in a certain order on purpose: joy, compassion, equanimity, and loving kindness. Compassion, without judgment, may I be a net beneath you, should you find yourself in the free fall of fear, anger, anxiety, or confusion. May you be free of physical pain and suffering. May you be healthy and strong. May you live in this world happily, peacefully, joyfully, and at ease. And ring the bell. Equanimity. Equanimity is the most complicated of these 3. The 3, joy, compassion, and loving kindness, are kind of more easy to understand, but equanimity is this like decision tree, kind of like, how do I navigate this moment to the benefit of all beings? We're looking at a big picture here, so it takes practice to be able to really learn equanimous behaviors. So equanimity. May I cultivate the wisdom to know where I stop and you start. My happiness is in my hands. I am the heir of my own actions. Through practice, may I cultivate the wisdom that leads to happiness. And regardless of my wishes for you, your happiness is not in my hands. All beings are in charge of their own karma. May you do what needs to be done to cultivate the wisdom that leads to true happiness. And ring the bell. Now, the last one ends with you. And loving kindness is the Brahma Vihara. Let my practice continue to break open my heart to love all beings completely, so that I may demonstrate fully the love I feel for you. With self-care, I can be positioned to love you completely in every moment. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be at ease. May I be peaceful and well. May I be happy. And ring the bell. Okay, so my story. The best way to work with this Brahma-Vihara practice is to keep a copy of a version of the recitation where you do your daily something, whether that is your daily meditation, or maybe it's your coffee in the morning or breakfast or tea at night, whatever it is, to practice this recitation daily. Although my experience as a whole has been like a tide that lifts all boats, it's these two practices that I really keep in my pocket at all times. And one of the most profound impacts of my time at the temple to date is that it has helped me to be present with my mother in the sunset of her life. I encourage you to find these teachings, put them in your pocket, and explore how they might help you arrive more fully when you need it most. There is great wisdom in repetition when trying to digest these teachings and integrate them into your daily life. So that's a little homework for you. Practice them. So here's my story of true love. A little background. I am the fourth of 5 kids in 6 years. There is my siblings, and you can see me right here. We are 4 girls at the beginning and 1 boy at the very bottom, and we're all about a year apart. I've one, my brother lives in out of state in Colorado, and my sister, up until last summer, one sister was living out of state in Baltimore. The rest of them live here. And I live in a fairly unique situation in my area. I have a big backyard that abuts on one side my mother's house, and on the other my husband's niece and nephew and their small children. Across the street from me, I can march up to the walkway up to my sister's house. And so it's a little family compound. And that wasn't always this way. My mother, Lucy, came to live in my neighborhood just a year after my father passed away. That was 2013. It was a temporary move to give her some time to figure out what would be her next big adventure. And I thought I was lucky then to have her right there. Our lives are really busy with young children at that time, and we had sticks in many, many, many fires, and she would be close, and it would be convenient to support her. But in my heart of hearts, I just wanted to know her better. I think that even at, I don't know, 35, 40, me and my siblings were all still in this teenage sort of interactions with my parents, where we sort of had this know everything kind of, sentiment. And so I just really wanted to get to know her, to have that opportunity to have maybe even a friendship with her. Now, the actions of my mother was central to many arguments between me and my siblings as adults. And an example of this might be connected to my mom's habit of asking for advice, but not taking it, which frankly, I thought was fair, but that didn't go over well with those who gave her solicited and unsolicited advice. I would often find her in tears over some advice interaction, gone wrong. And this was a symptom of something more profound about her relationship with her children. I realized that my mother had lost the script to her own personal resource. She forgot how to push back, how to say, I'm the parent, or since when does your 50 some years trump my 80 plus years, right? And I realized that that's an equanimity situation. May I cultivate the wisdom to know where I stop and you start. And I can't say I never made her cry, but I identified with her more than others. And since I was younger than most of them, I observed their interactions with her in a very, very different way. I saw more dramatically how their criticisms affected her. And to be honest with you, I can't exclude myself from that. But, you know, I was at a different point in my life, and I wanted my beautiful mother to be free of pain and suffering and to live happily and with ease in this world, right? Without judgment, may I be a net beneath you should you find yourself in the free fall of fear, anger, anxiety, and confusion. Over the 18 months that she lived in this temporary situation 3 doors down, we began cultivating the beginnings of a friendship. And we went on walks sometimes, we had coffee, she'd pick me up from work sometimes for lunch, and we started up a family dinner night between the 3 houses, my mom, Bill's niece and nephew, and their family, and us, and his niece and nephew and us. We'd make dinner, you know, alternately, and everybody would come to the one house, and She-Dog Lucy, Grandma Lucy would always bring dessert. She became Grandma Lucy to everybody. We were building up experiences together. We were building up and practicing loving kindness in so many ways. You know, all of it, loving kindness, sympathetic joy, compassion, even equanimity was getting some really good, interesting practice in navigating this relationship between family and this little compound. Now, the family dinner night is a central feature in the compound experience. There's always one night that we all eat together no matter what. And no, Jack and his niece, they fell in love with Lucy. And they listened to her. They asked her for advice. They helped her when she needed help. They engulfed her in loving kindness and compassion. And it has been a constant gift to me to witness that. In 2015, a house came on the market just behind her and us, and she bought it. I figured that day was the day I won the lottery, you know? And it was sympathetic joy all the way around. May I know joy, may I know the causes. May the causes of joy be known to me. May they be a wellspring for my happiness, and may my happiness be a wellspring for others. And it was like, I was so excited and happy she would be living with me, but she was so excited and happy. We were feeding off that. It was this kind of never-ending loop of happiness in that moment, you know? That was 5 years ago, and I remember it. She walked through my back gate and she said, "Say hello to your new neighbor." And I'm all like, "What?" She's all like, "Yeah, I put an offer on the house." And, you know, it was a surprise. She didn't tell me. She didn't tell me that, you know. One of my siblings had been pushing hard for her to move into a senior housing community where she would be supported and taken care of by other people. And you know, I wanted her to be with me. So I kind of wanted to rub that in a certain sibling's face, but I will try to think pure and beautiful thoughts, say pure and beautiful words, and do pure and beautiful deeds, knowing that, you know. So she was 80 then, and she's a go, go, go kind of person. And if she wasn't attending a quilting meeting or a quilt retreat or a quilt show or a quilt workshop, you'd find her digging around her garden, cheering on the sidelines, at a grandchild's game, you know, their #1 fan. And if she shared her location with you, you might see her avatar hightailing it cross country, across the nation to see family or relatives, friends, her children, her grandchildren. Living near her meant that despite our crazy schedules, we would see each other in these little moments, you know. We would share daily life, which I thought was more important. Those little ad hoc meals, the, you know, help with this or that, a hug when you needed one, that something really great happened, or, you know, a flower opening up in her garden. These were the things that we could share, and, you know, on a daily basis. And she would know and be known by my children and my husband and me and the other way around. Again, you know, may you know joy. May the causes of joy be known by you, you know. And it was also loving kindness. You know, may I be filled with loving kindness. May you be filled with loving kindness. So my Baltimore sister moved in state to be near her daughter who would be attending U of M in the fall of last year. And a house became available across the street from me. And so she bought it. Unbelievable. You know, I keep winning. Family manifesting everywhere. And for the first time in many, many years, my mom and my sister saw each other every day. And it was a very beautiful and powerful time for them. Just after the COVID shutdown here in Michigan, she fell ill. And what seemed like a worrisome but not life-threatening medical event revealed itself to be a glioblastoma. In the first part of April, she was diagnosed with a type of brain cancer that is stage 4 at every stage. It put the brakes on her really hard. And I realized, sorry, and my brother and his 2 oldest boys, who were of driving age, they hightailed it back to Michigan. And that 50-year-old son moved into his mother's basement. And that was truly loving kindness in so many ways. After the diagnosis, I really wanted her to do things. Make some art, try to quilt, I don't know, something in these twilight hours of her life. And I was panicking. I was panicking a little bit. And I realized that, you know what, she was okay. She was okay with just doing nothing. Just being there with us. And I had to ask myself, am I okay with this? This was a manifestation of equanimity. May I cultivate the wisdom to know where I stop and you start? We were so grateful that she lived to see her gardens unfold. Lucy passed away in early July, and we loved her well in those 3 months. Let my practice continue to break open my heart to love all beings completely so that I may demonstrate fully the love I feel for you. And the shutdown was a gift for our family. From April through to her death, her 5 children moved in on a schedule. Grandchildren streamed in from every door, all times a day. We had Christmas dinner every night, coffee on the porch every morning, but mostly, we just sat. And I realized, I became aware that I am a link in Lucy's golden chain of love. Thank you for your time today. Scooch back here. And our daughter Lily is here with our Dharma Guardian certificates. Thank you.
Thank you.
They're beautiful.
Thank you, Lily.
And thank you, Haju, and all of the Sangha. We are so grateful to have this family that we can count on. And we're gonna give you back to the temple now.
Gosh. Thanks so much, Nojek and Teresa. And Lucy, it was good to see your cameo appearance. Lovely. Last week I had tears in my eyes, and this week I again have tears in my eyes. I'm just very grateful for the depth of your contributions, Jack and Teresa, and the kind of joyousness and depth of your family life in the Dharma, in many ways. So thanks so much. And I don't know, we're going to have a special service for Lucy at the temple on the 15th at 3. So it's not next Sunday, but the Sunday after. It will be in the yard. And Teresa will be getting in touch to let us know more about it. So we're really happy and looking forward to having this service for Lucy. And I think Lucy's wonderfulness has rubbed off on her whole family. It's pretty special. Okay. So before we have our announcements, let's do the 4 great vows. All beings, one body, I vow to liberate. Blind passions, one root, I vow to terminate. Dharma gates, one mind, I vow to penetrate. The great way of Buddha, I vow to realize. And welcome to our new Dharma guardians. This is now time for announcements, and we'll turn the camera to Hayun.
Thank you, Hajisunim. Thank you to Nojak and Teresa, my dear brother and sister in the Dharma. We call each other brothers and sisters often here, but you two really feel it in my heart. There's nothing like going through the crucible of peace camp for 2 weeks together to really get to know each other in a beautiful way. Nojak strumming out his banjo, Teresa cooking and working together in beautiful unison. So thank you for all you do. So a couple big things going on at the temple. First, something I think everyone is going to have a great interest in, and that is on Monday evening, this coming Monday evening, November 2nd, we are going to be doing live streaming here from the temple, a special event for peace on the eve of our election. So it is going to include some meditation, some chanting, and also some words. Teresa recited some words from our Moon Journeying Through Clouds. There will be words like that. Haji Sunim will give a Dharma talk, all sort of helping us all to lift up to the universe some energy of peace and love and equanimity on the eve of our most dramatic election. So please join us. It will begin, we will open up the live stream at 6:20. And we'll begin meditation at 6:30 and welcome. So it's a whole event. So, we really invite you to attend. I think it's going to be beautiful. Secondly, as Haji Sunim mentioned, there is going to be a service, memorial service for Lucy L'Esperance here on November 15th in the afternoon. What time? 3 p.m. If you knew Lucy, if you know now Nojak and Teresa, even if you don't and you just want to come by and pay your respects, you're welcome to come. We're making it a very safe event. It's all going to be outside, so bundle up. And the day before that, on the 14th of November, is going to be a special cleanup day here at the temple to prepare our grounds for the memorial service. So that'll be from 9 until noon. Every Saturday from 9 until noon, we have work practice outside. But that's a very special one because we'll be preparing for that event. We, as always, are going to have our live stream on Sundays. There is the Refuge Recovery Program that happens at noon on Sundays. So the link to that is in the e-bulletin. If you're not part of our e-bulletin network. You can contact the temple and be on it. It sort of lists all of our upcoming events. So that is AnnArborZenTemple@gmail.com. Just write to us, and we'd be happy to list you on that. And finally, just thank you so much for your ongoing support of the temple in these difficult times where none of us can really get together and embrace each other. It's so important, and we are here for you and you are here for us, and it's a beautiful gratitude filled moment. So thank you so much for that. And I think I don't need to send it back to you because you've already done the 4 great vows. So all right, with that I will just say goodbye and have a wonderful day. And I think,
I'll pass it on. You can hear me but not see me, which is okay. Is just we love to hear from you in the chat where you're coming from today, and if you have any comments, gratitude, etc. We always enjoy making contact. Last night or yesterday we had a non-violent communication workshop here at the temple, and with from 9 to noon with about 18 of us, and it was so wonderful to see everybody participating in that workshop. So our hearts go out to you. Yeah. And we're going to hold another one of them, at least, in the upcoming weeks. So if you're interested, we'll be happy to include you so that anybody who wants to learn to better communicate will have that opportunity. All right. Have a very good day today.